Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. From painful sex to squirting and fucking all over the house. Squirting is one of the sexual holy grails for women, the stuff of legends. In today's episode, our well-fucked all-star Vanessa shares her transformation from sex-fearing Christian and non-self-toucher to squirting, yoni-sunning, and vaginal orgasm queen. She has gone from never having touched her own vagina and having it feel like shards of glass, in her words, when she tried, to now leaving pee pads in every room so that she and her husband can fuck and squirt all over the house. Kids happily playing? Let's dash into the bedroom and squirt it all out. She also experienced her breasts becoming fuller, well-fucked weight loss, lose belly fat overnight. Manifesting cash through sex dates, she and her husband even tried an experiment to see how much they could manifest after each sexual encounter, and finding her take no shit voice in her vagina, and getting wet only from the sound of her lover's voice. So how does someone go from being in extreme vaginal pain to having exquisite pleasure and vaginal orgasms? Here are the 5 things that she did to get there. Number 1, she used the jade yoni egg. The egg is a beautiful and essential tool for all women for self-exploration. It can be used at various stages of your growth. It denumbs when you can't feel anything, waking up every millimeter of your vagina so that it becomes 1,000 points of light. If you have a vagina on lockdown, it's a very gentle and self-administered way to reduce that anxiety and open from pain to pleasure. Our well-fucked all-star Katie shares how she used almost exclusively the egg as her main tool in healing past sexual trauma. You can listen to her epic story in the episode Healing Sexual Trauma with the Jade Yoni Egg. She was also someone who couldn't put her fingers in her own vagina and is now gushing and orgasming all over the place. Since the egg strengthens your vaginal muscles and increases sensation, this is your number 1 tool for getting to vaginal orgasms. As you exercise with the egg, you build your muscles and you generate oxygen flow in your tissues. Circulation equals lubrication. What was once a barren desert becomes a waterfall of juices, both lubricating and ejaculating. So yeah, every woman ought to have a jade egg. Number 2, she took my Anami crystal elixirs. The one that she used is called Luscious, and it's a trinity of 3 different crystal remedies. These are sold in my Anami Alchemia online shop, and they are vibrational remedies that I created to help people along with all of the inner work that we do in the salons. So this is all about confronting demons, alchemizing trauma, opening your heart, healing on deeper emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. The crystals in the Luscious Trinity include rhodochrosite, which is considered to be the most effective crystal on the planet for healing sexual abuse. They also contain pink calcite, which helps to connect the heart and the cervix and excavate trauma, and pearl, which helps a woman to own her inner beauty and radiate it, and takes the grains of sand in your life, transforming them into pearls of wisdom and beauty. A huge component of all of the deeper orgasms for women is being able to open, surrender, and let go of control. And these elixirs help to loosen that energy and open women up in that way. Number 3, she sunned her yoni. We are big fans of genital sunning around here, which is exactly what it sounds like, getting sun where the sun don't normally shine. Even 5 minutes a day gives you a beautiful dose of yang energy and has been shown to have a beneficial effect on sex hormone production, particularly in testosterone building, which both men and women have and need. Vanessa tells one of my favorite stories ever about yoni-sunning and why it was so beneficial for her. Number 4, learning to surrender. The most important sexual skill for women isn't learning how to rub your clitoris or how many fingers are ideal to stimulate your G spot. It's surrender, being able to let go of control, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and to be seen. These are the keys to the queendom for the vaginal orgasm, such as G-spot, squirting, and cervical. They are all tied to deep emotional and spiritual catharsis, being unwound, undone, and fucked open. If you cannot let go and jump into the abyss, you will never get there, no matter how much correct technique you think you have. In my work, we go into these deeper layers of the self to remove the blockages and fear that hold you back from truly exposing yourself, daring to be raw and open and without constant protection. It's not a fun way to live. The most pleasure and orgasms are found when you live with an open heart and vagina. And number 5, she took my salons. She took she actually took all of them. She took Vaginal Kung Fu, How to Be a Well-Fucked Woman. She and her partner took Coming Together, and then her partner took Sexual Mastery for Men. And she actually, she did Sexy Mama too, so she did all 5 of them. She started with VKF, and then she went on to do WW later that year. She was determined to reconnect with her vagina and heal. She showed up, and she did the work and the play. She took radical self-responsibility. This is the idea that you are responsible for your own healing. Even if you have gone through trauma and you have had things done to you, then you have 2 choices. You can remain in a state of victimhood, lamenting your fate, or you seize the reins and you do whatever repair work it's going to take to optimize your life. The Anami guarantee is that everyone can. No matter what age or stage, no matter what trauma or beliefs you've absorbed, you can be a salacious, lubricating, ejaculating, multi-orgasmic, ping-pong ball shooting sexual superstar. Let's hear from Vanessa about how she did it. Well fucked all-stars! Welcome, Vanessa. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
An absolute honor, Kim, finally meeting with you and seeing you and having my personal time with you. So thank you.
So you have been in Anami Land for a couple of years now. You started with VKF and then you moved on to the which is Vaginal Kung Fu, and then you moved on to the Well-Fucked Woman Salon. So tell us about what brought you into this work initially.
It was a random find on Instagram. I was like, what on earth is VKF, Vaginal Kung Fu? That absolutely fancied my interests. And I was like, I'm going to click on the link and see where this takes me. I think just universally, energetically, I was ready to step into this unknown space. I have never touched my vagina before that. Very scared and skeptical of all the things because of my religious upbringing. It was always dirty. I was Christian, brought up Christian, strict Christian. And so anyway, so I clicked on the link, bought the salon, and I started. And the egg came, the kit, the yoni egg. And then I decided to do a practice even before the salon started. I was like, let me just put it in and see what this is going to give me. And the first time I inserted it, it was like blades and knives poking in my vagina and like cutting, like just cuts. And I just screamed. It's like, this has to come out of me right now. I had the thread attached to it and I like almost yanked and pulled. I didn't care to push it out. I was just like, this needs to get out now. Like it was full on fear, too much pain. And then I forced myself to do the salon because I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, because all your Instagram is all the pleasure and the
So
the
did
things
you
that you would feel.
When you had that physical sensation, did you think the egg was hurting you, or did you have any sense that this might be like psychosomatic, some kind of trauma residue, like some, visceral reaction from the body? What was going through your mind?
So I am aware of the trauma I have, and I've been doing some work around it. So I knew it was something trauma related or something I just wasn't ready for in terms of being ready for the egg. And so I knew there was something more to it. It wasn't just the egg, but I was really mad at the egg. On the flip side, I was really mad that this complete smooth surface was jabbing me and like cutting me through. And I'm wondering what's going on. This isn't I don't think this is how it's supposed to feel. And I did the salon, and what I decided to do was implement all the other practices. I kind of like shut down to putting the egg back in me for a long time after the salon. But what I did, what really spoke to me was sunning your bum or your vagina. I loved that so much. And I would just, throughout the salon, that's all I did the most
Hmm.
because I couldn't have anything touch me. I refused to touch myself. I only okayed my husband touching me, just not me. And the sun was something that just, I would start oozing. I would start getting wet. And I'm like, what is going on? Is it sweat? But it wasn't. It was like more thick and more like mucusy, if you may, yeah. And so I was like, what is happening? Why is this coming out? And I started doing all the meditations almost for an entire year because I'm like, okay, mentally, I'm just not ready. So how can I prepare myself for this physical experience? And I think 6 months later, actually a full year later, this happened next year in April, I decided to go back to the egg. And I said, okay, I'm going to start really slow. I remember Katie, one of the podcast women, she's like, only 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 30 seconds. And eventually, the time I did the same thing.
So just
So
I'll
for
just explain here, like Katie was someone who had a history of sexual trauma as well, and she had a lot of anxiety around using the jade egg. And so the way that she worked with it is she just literally set a timer where one day she would put the egg in for 30 seconds and she would breathe through it, allow emotions and feelings and sensations to come up, and then she would stop. And then the next day she would do it for say a minute, and she would go through the same process until she got to the place where she was fully open and orgasmic, and her vagina was a pleasure center where before that she'd been unable to even touch herself. So I love that, your story, and we'll hear more. You've talked about this very slow exposure to, let's say, some might even consider the sun to be yang male energy, being exposed to that and even being penetrated by it, right? Through doing yoni-sunning and allowing that energy into you in the most gentle, quite subtle way as you could integrate that.
that's what I needed to begin with, something that wasn't touching me, but also penetrating at the same time.
Which is
And
an
then,
oxymoron. Like, how do you,
right?
what
So
exactly
much
is
so,
that? It's a
yes.
riddle.
And then the egg, I took it even slower. For me, it was just 5 seconds. Sometimes it was just a quick finger, like a dip and out. I will just massage around and let it be. Everything hurt. I couldn't stretch. I couldn't move. Everything was just tight around my pelvis. Yeah, that whole area, inner thighs, outer thighs, hips, it was just all bad. And so I started doing the egg practice, and I would do the first three. There are four you've given us, the fourth one being the standing one. I would do rotations between the first three, and then I realized that wasn't working. So I would just do one at a time for one full month at a time. So just take the first practice and do it every day for 1 month. And then when I was ready, I would switch to another one every day for another month. And so I kept doing that every month. I was changing up the routine, but I just kept it at one practice. No matter
Wow, that's
what
very
came,
that's very
I
dedicated, like every day for a month and then switching. So obviously you got to the point. So when you said you started at like 5 seconds or a finger, so you inserted the egg and then you took it out, and then like you would just slowly, I guess you slowly built up. Yeah.
Yeah, it came from me understanding that I have a fear of letting go and needing control, even though I had this string attached to the egg. I was so scared of thinking that I had to release an object into my vagina. That part of it just I couldn't. I held on like with a death grip onto the string, like you will come out when I'm done. Like, you will not be staying there, you won't get lost. All the things. Um, and then 3 months into, I think 4.5 months into doing that regularly, no day missed, I had my first squirting orgasm. That was this year. So I came back a year later because I just couldn't mentally. I started April of this year, and then by June, it was just this boom, this explosion. I was like, did I just pee? Like, what the fuck happened? Like, I was embarrassed with myself. I was alone. I was embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God, I got to change all the sheet. Like, all the things started like reeling in my brain. And I was like, this is what she's talking about. And then I'd have conversations with you. I was like, damn you, Kim, look what just happened. Or, thank you, Kim. I'm finally feeling the things like you've been talking about. And
Damn,
yeah,
Kim. Why damn you, Kim?
because I got scared, I think, when I exploded in the way I did. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, I have to talk to Kim. Like, I need someone. I started like hyperventilating. I didn't know what was happening. And I was like, okay, just take a breath. That made me realize I was in this cycle of like, I need to blame someone for something I don't understand or take it out on someone
When
like
you were
a
squirting,
partner.
what made, but
Yeah, it
why,
was just
why
because I
then?
got scared. I don't know. It was just like I got scared of my own squirting. I didn't understand what was happening at the time. I was like, huh, is this what's supposed to happen? And then I did more of the program, especially WFW, I understood better that this is okay, it's natural, it's supposed to, it's one of the gateways to travel through. And then there was peace. There was no fear because I came from so much fear.
So maybe just fear of uncertainty, something new, the unknown.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm.
And we talk about that in the vagina and in vaginal orgasms, and squirting is a type of vaginal orgasm that women come upon this impasse or this crevasse where they have to dive over into the void. And a lot of women will retract back and then not make it over the edge into vaginal orgasms. But when they do, that is when they make it through to the promised land.
Yeah. Oh my God. Promises, abundant promises. Like it was after that, I continued on. I kept doing the egg practice. Every single time I did the egg practice, I would squat. Like there was no stopping it. I could feel it build up while the egg was in me. And I was like, just hold it. You have one more rep to go or two more reps to go. It's gonna come. It's happening. Just give it a minute. And sometimes I would actually have to stop my egg practice and release it, and the egg would come out. And then I had to continue the egg practice after. And so that was a thing. And then I also remember the first time I squatted with my husband, my whole body went into this shaky, like I was almost crying myself off the bed. Like I had this massive out of body. I couldn't control anything. And he just had to like hold me really tight because I was shaking uncontrollably. I felt cold, I felt scared, and I couldn't stop. And that's when this thing under my chest just kind of burst open, and I was like, this whole thing was shaking in my sternum. I was like, something's happening on the inside. What do I do? I was like, the whole deep breath. And then he was like, he just kept reminding me, slow your breath down. I'm here. We got this. It's okay. And just the sobs. I ugly cried. I've never ugly cried in front of him. That was like that was like a whole other level of ugly crying.
And then how did
Yeah.
you feel afterward?
Oh my gosh, I needed to run. I had to get up and go for a run. I was like, something's going on. I don't know what to do with all this energy. I felt like steam was coming off my head. It was this, I had to run. So I did. That was the first time I ran in 3.5 years. I just went out for a run.
And how was the run?
Oh my God, I was so light on my feet. My ankles didn't hurt. My knees didn't hurt. My hips were like flying. There's a point in running, if you do it long enough, you feel like you're floating off the ground, kind of. That's how I felt. Like I
And
hadn't
so,
felt that since I was 19.
and when you said you hadn't run in 3.5 years, is that because you were having issues with all these body parts that you just mentioned? Like you said, your knees and your ankles and your hips.
Yeah, after my second baby, things took a downhill turn in terms of how my body was healing and the way it was putting itself back together. And so with her, I did a home birth, zero medication. All I got was a cool cloth in my neck. And I screamed so loud. I saw a blue white light going through me and a voice telling me everything is going to change. Your body is going to heal. Everything you have hid is going to come up to the surface. And ever since having her, I've kind of been on like a bed rest, kind of handicapped healing journey, if you will. Like I've had to completely dial down my life, not amp it up. And for the first 2 years, obviously, I didn't listen. I was like, I'm going to amp it up and do all the things I normally do. And then when VKF happened, it was just, you have to stop all your crap. Like, you are hurting your body more than you're helping your body. Everything has to stop. And so that's what I did.
And then after that squirting orgasm, your energy was aligned and back.
Oh man, it was just like, this is what normal feels like. I've had no idea what normal feels like ever since I was a teenager because I've had multiple injuries. I have had a frozen right ankle. This work, the jade egg, has opened up my ankle like it's a bone issue. I can't even explain my hips. The elixirs just broke through my physical trauma, like everything it was holding on to, the elixirs just broke through when I did the meditation that you send with the elixirs.
So, all right, you're mentioning elixirs.
Sorry.
So, let's
I know.
explain to people what these are. So, I made a whole series of accessories in my Anami Alchemia shop that were created to help people as companions to their sexual healing journey, like especially in my online salons, although the shop is free for anyone to, not free, but available for anyone to buy things at. So, you took a particular blend called Luscious, which I talk about as having, it's got 3 different crystals in it: rhodochrosite, clear quartz, and pink calcite and pearl. And these 3, this combination is designed to help people work through sexual abuse and trauma, to activate the cervix and that connection, the cervix, all the way up to the crown chakra, and also to really own their beauty and sensuality and their feminine energy and package that all together. So it's worked, we call it, it's in our Deep Healer series, where it works as an excavating tool to help you go deep and potentially stir up things that have been lingering in the tissues in our body and our bone marrow, and bring those up to the surface so they can be illuminated and alchemized and healed. And so you took 2 rounds of that trilogy of Luscious
Mhm.
during this work. So connect that for us, like, as you think, your impression of how that amplified the process.
Yeah, so when I took it around my right side of my hips, because it's my right ankle, so my whole right side is kind of jammed shut, and I don't have much motion around there. When I took the elixirs the first time, my lower back on the right side just broke. I can't explain because I had this really bad catch at the gym. I had to walk out very slowly, and for 2 weeks later, through a lot of chiropractic work and massages, it had to undo itself. And during those 2 weeks, I did the meditation every day, the luscious meditation. I kept taking the elixirs because I was in the process of the 21 days. And the image that came to me, the vision I had was a wrecking ball destroying a building. And the moment everything crumbled from that building, there was a field of yellow flowers. I don't know why yellow specifically, but there was just yellow flowers everywhere. Every time the ball hit the building and everything fell, tons of flowers just bloomed all over the place. And then the voices, this is what's going to happen. More growth is coming through, something is breaking down. And that was a full-on, very hard 2.5 weeks because I have 2 kids and
Right.
my body's like, you are done, you have to rest. No more of overworking, over pushing, over. And then my body just did it for me. I literally couldn't move for 2 weeks. And that was the first time I actually understood, without shaming myself, what actual rest means, what it is to rest and just be and let the house get dirty, let the kids be dirty, or messy, let it go. Let it just be.
Do you think part of that stillness that like, it sounds like your higher self and your body were communicating to you as important for your process came from potentially, like, with people who've had severe trauma or trauma, period, significant trauma, we'll say, where, like, unless they have the awareness or somebody around them has the awareness to help them to stop, drop, and address it and heal it, integrate it, then they just keep going. And a lot of times people's own self antidote is just getting busier and burying something further and further beneath the surface, right? And do you think perhaps the message of stillness was to allow things to come up to the surface?
100%, because all my life I did the mental work, the talk therapy, and I've done all those things for years and years and years. But then there comes a point where they say the body doesn't lie,
Right.
right? And once you tap into that part of your healing, like you have to face it. There's no other way, because the pain comes up, the excavation happens, the destruction happens for new reconstruction, and it just goes on and on and on. There's no stopping it. And when that happened, it was kind of like a avalanche, but in a good way, of me needing to see all the things I had distracted myself from, overworked through, and just didn't want to face. Like I said, with the jade egg, I started crying. I never used to cry. That was a definite damn you, Kim, in the most loving way, though. I was like, you're making me cry. Um, but I just cry now. I don't stop it. If it comes, it comes. My kids are like, Mommy, are you okay? Why are you crying? I'm like, this is just happening. My body is releasing something. I'm very honest with them and
Yeah.
open. I do want to segue into my kids for a second. When I used to do the yoni sunning, they were so inquisitive, like, ooh, look at your bum, look at this, look at the wet. Is this where your poop comes out from? Is this where the baby comes out from? But I say this because it felt so innocent. For the first time in my life, no one looked at my vagina in a sexual, I want something from it, I'm going to hurt it kind of way. It was so curious. It was so, Mommy, can we touch it? Mommy, why do you have so much hair? Just all these questions. And it was so sweet. And I was open. I was literally like legs wide open, giving them a little science lesson of, this is the labia, this is the vagina. And now all three of us done our bums together. They're 7 and 4.
Oh,
And
I
we were
love
like,
it.
Mom, the sun is out. It's calling your yoni. Your labia's waiting. And they will literally like just say, even sometimes we're at a park in a playground and there's bright sun. They're like, Mom, your labia. And they point to the sun. I'm like, oh my God, kids, just everyone, this is very innocent. Just in case. Two moms did give me like weird looks. I'm like, no, 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 come on, we'll do this in the house. Don't be too loud. It's so funny. But they love sunning their bums. They will now they see any sun through a window, their underwear's off, and they will put legs open. And then I'll remember, because I see them and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go sun our bums now. And I've learned how to drop everything and go and do something that is pleasurable and restful without needing to attach any guilt, shame. I didn't do enough work around it, because they are kind of leading the way for me in that sense. So that has really helped.
I love that. That is so beautiful, that whole story. I've never heard anything like that before in terms of people's experiences with genital sunning, but I think that's now my favorite story of.
Oh my God, my kids, yeah, and they even saw the egg one day and they were like, what is this? And I said, I put this in my vagina. And they're like, what? Does it even fit? Does it hurt you? And I was like, do you see mommy do exercise in the Pilates room? I'm a Pilates instructor and I teach from my home. And I say, do you see mommy do exercise for her arms and legs? This is for my vagina on the inside to make it strong and to keep it happy. And they're like, can we do it one day? I was like, absolutely, y'all can. And they're like, oh, we cannot wait. They'll touch the egg, they'll hold it, especially my 4-year-old. She will like always stare at it. She'll want to play with it. And I just let them. I'm like, sure. And that too is just helping me. Like you said, we have to be comfortable in our own sexuality to help our kids. And this is helping so much honesty and openness with them. It's so sweet and precious and all that questions. And it's healing me because I was a very closed, don't say anything, don't speak, don't show yourself, don't have an opinion, that kind of upbringing my whole life. And now with my kids, they're the complete opposite of me. And I have to match their energy. I don't see it any other way. And all this healing has helped so much, so much.
That is so beautiful and such a great example of when you use those opportunities when your children are naturally curious to be really honest and authentic with them, and they take in that information, and then that's going to set them up for such a different experience with their own bodies and their own reproductive life, right? Where you've created this full openness, no shame, no secrecy, no negativity. It's all like really positive and health focused and so wonderful. Well done, Mama.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's going so well. They love it.
We have this joke, we talk about the two pump chump in men's stamina, where we are encouraging them to build more stamina, and guys who are premature ejaculators we'll call two pump chumps, especially when they're just not motivated to really work on it. But you call yourself a four pump chump, and explain what the significance of that is.
Oh man, so we finished a session, my husband and I was like, I feel like a full pump chump. Like I need nothing now to just have these squirting, just like so quick. Yeah, these squirting orgasms that just happen. And he had such a laugh about it. We both laughed.
So you can come very quickly. You're
Very
hovering,
quickly.
like we talk about in Anami land, living at the sexual simmer, where
Yeah.
your libido, your desire is existing in what we consider the normal baseline here in Anami land at like an 8 plus, right? So it doesn't take tons of foreplay and effort and exertion to get you to this place of orgasm. You're hovering in this perpetual erotic aroused state in your life. You're feeling that energy humming all the time, so that when you do become sexual, it's right there. So,
It is.
yeah.
Sometimes he will just say, I'm finishing a meeting, go wait for me in the room. That's all is needed. Like I am just dripping already. Like, oh my God. I didn't realize that's all it took sometimes, you know? And then this one time I was waiting for him with my pants down and bent over on the bed. And then just before he even came in, it was just all dripping and ready. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not ready. He's not even here. Like holding it in. So funny. But yeah, so he would literally sometimes just do 4 thrusts the beginning, no warm up, no foreplay, no nothing. We would just go straight for it. He was also ready. And it would just like burst. I was like, oh my God, it's happening already. Like, what the fuck? Like, and he was like, that's great. Let it go. Let it happen. And because it was happening so quickly, we decided to buy these absorbent sheets, reusable absorbent sheets that people use in old age homes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In senior living, sorry, in India we say old age homes. Senior living over here, yes. And they put them on their beds when they urinate, so you can literally pour a whole bucket of water on it and it absorbs everything. I needed that,
Handy for
like
you.
the amount. And we keep two of them in every room because we don't know which room we fancy ourselves to go into and which one is available because we have our kids around. And then we always have the sheets ready. My husband's like, I'm so motivated to do laundry now, which has never been the case because he wants the sheets ready to go. So he will do the laundry for us. It's so sweet. And that's how the Four Pump Chump name came along. And he's like, I'm Googling, I need to get an Amazon, get the sheets ready. We're doing this. And so,
That's amazing. I love that. The best
uh,
possible definition of four pump chump.
yeah.
So you talked, tell me a little bit more about, so as these experiences and breakthroughs happen sexually for us, we talk so much about the parallel then in the well fucked woman and then the well fucked life, right? So, what then begins to happen, or did you see happen in your outer life in terms of changes and transformations that you would say are, you know, connected to, and we make that connection here, right, in Anami land, that as you open up and crack things open and shed these inhibitions, that flow, that unstoppable flow that you've experienced, how did that show up in your outer life?
It felt like a dam releasing because I had so much pent up stuff. The first thing I noticed was my physical symptoms. My breasts started getting plumpier and fuller, and I was like, I'm doing a pregnancy test because that's the only other time my breasts have been full. Like that was one of the pregnancy symptoms, but I wasn't pregnant. I would do them regularly every month, thinking I was pregnant because I'm
Doing a
just like,
pregnancy test every month.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening? Where are the fullness coming from? Like sometimes some of my bras didn't fit. They grew, I think. Like some of my clothes didn't fit. And I'm like, I was like, what is going on? So that was my first thing I noticed. The other thing was losing just weight around my belly. I was one of those people where I just gathered a lot of weight on my belly, but my arms and legs were really skinny. And so the hardness around my belly kind of started to soften with every squirting ejaculation. And that was another thing I noticed. There was no hard anything around my belly. Now it's like a little soft beanbag ready for work. After that, I noticed I had more courage to face situations, people, things that I did not have a voice for and courage for. And then it opened out to my extended family and then my work and people who I'd meet in general on the street. And then the big one was money and opportunities coming in and how that played out. There's this funny story. Can I tell it?
Of course.
We have this car that my husband wanted to rent just to make some extra money for. And I was like, it's a bad idea. It's not going to
Like
take
rent out your car, you mean?
rent out the car.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just did VKF and I was like, you know what, I'm going to put this to the test. I was like, let's see if all this is true. Because part of me was still skeptical. And I was like, okay, I'm going to meditate about getting a booking for the rental and let's have sex based on that thought and that intention. And so we would literally every time we had sex, we would get 2 to 3 bookings easily after each session. So then I was like, okay, let's test this a little bit more. Let's not have sex for a whole week and see if we get any bookings. No bookings. Like it was insane. I was like, what is going on again? I was like, Kim, we always talk to you, my husband and I. We're like, what is going on? And so my husband got really curious about all the changes that was happening. I was going through physically, mentally, energetically. He decided to do sexual mastery for men. And so he's in it now. I think it just got over. Yeah. And so we are just having great sex. And more on the money part, we've been getting a lot of opportunities to change up our lifestyle, to plug in all our leaks where we've been leaking financially, emotionally, energetically. Like your work is not just one area, it's all encompassing, right? One area starts to show, everything's going to start to show. And so, because I was changing so much physically and mentally, the financial aspect just came like a train, like needing to like you need to change these things. This has to stop, otherwise it's never going to get better. We were in so much debt. We just couldn't afford certain things. We couldn't go on vacations and holidays, like really bad, very reflective of my mental state and physical state.
Blockage. Okay.
Blockage, tons
Yeah.
and tons of blockage. Now that we're clearing and we're plugging back the leaks, so much is opening up. And we're like, what do we do with all these things? Like we have this choice and that choice. We were just wanting one option, but now we have like 10 choices and we have money's coming in to clear all our debts. Like where are we not working any extra? Like, but it's showing up and he's getting bonuses at work. He's going to get a promotion end of this year. Like, and we're like, okay, so the money is coming in this way. This is what she's talking about. We were expecting manna to fall from heaven and get a basket and start collecting, but this is what it is, right? It comes in slowly in these ways. And it's happening. We are in the middle of it, like in the happening of it. We haven't reached a specific point yet, but we are very much in the plugging all our leaks, allotting our finances towards all our debt clearing, opening up opportunities to work. And that's the phase we're in right now with
That's
all our
amazing.
opportunities. Yeah,
I
it's
love
been
that.
good.
And that symbolic language, right, of the blocks and then leakages, where we have places where we're leaking out energy. And the more and which is connected to this idea as well of dissociation, right? When we're dissociated, which is connected to trauma, but when we become whole and we occupy all of these parts of ourselves, we start to shore up these leaks, these energetic leaks. And for women, they can often be literal leaks where they're leaking urine, right? They have urinary incontinence because they can't generate this support within themselves or this ownership of these body parts, right? And energy is literally, and fluid is literally leaking out of them. And often other things, right? Opportunities, abundance. And I love how you described, like, that's what abundance really is like even more than you can imagine, more than you could have conceived of, right? Because their
Mm.
survival mindset of just enough and not struggling and not being in
Right.
debt, which is a really common mindset in North America for sure, right? It's like the norm. And then to be, base level, but then there's like, yeah, many levels beyond that of true abundance.
And we seem to be getting through those layers one at a time. And we suddenly now know that there are more ways to think and open ourselves up to in terms of money and life experiences and other ways of living and just even existing internally with integrity and openness and honesty. Things start coming to you more than being repelled. And I think that was key for me specifically because I was extremely shut down, dissociated, highly traumatized from sexual abuse, tons of emotional abuse. And yeah, so this was a complete 360, 180, all the things, all the things.
Beautiful. So, is there anything else that you'd like to add that was part of your transformative experience or that highlights where you were and where you've come to?
I was thinking of was after I did VKF, we quit. My husband and I. He was so like fascinated with all my changes that I've been going through. He's like, "What is this?" So I was like, "The next program is coming together. Let's do that." So we do 3 weeks of that, and it completely crashed for us. We're like, this is not working," because he was not fully open, and I was just came into understanding what it's like for me to do this work. And so, like, okay, we need to do our separate things first and then come back for coming together. So that's when he chose sexual mastery, and I did WFW this year. And then we did, and now we're going to do coming together this coming year.
Mhm.
And that helped massively for his blocks and his leads because he just did sexual mastery for men. I did WFW, and we've brought two very new people, new transformations into us coming together now, and it's completely different.
So,
Yeah.
having
And the
the
other last thing,
Mhm.
sorry, go
Well,
ahead.
so having the opportunity to also ensure, I talk about how in partnership and relationship, we have three entities. There's you, me, and the entity of the relationship itself. And each of those thirds needs to have a successful gourmet style, off the charts, Anami land relationship. Each of us need to be doing our part, right? You're doing your work, I'm doing my work, and we're working on the relationship collectively as its own entity. So I love what you're saying because that speaks to that idea that everyone has to be pulling their weight.
Yes, and the radical responsibility part that you talk about, because for me, I only ever knew sex as it's all his, it's all up to him. If I have to feel any pleasure, it's all his. But then you taught me how to take responsibility for my own pleasure, and it's up to me and what I bring to the table, and that I get to share my pleasure with him once I've experienced it. And so that really spoke to me. And then now we're coming together in such a different way. He comes ready on his own, not like, oh yeah, quickly give me a blowjob and then we'll begin. It's not like that. He first takes care of me, and then because he does it in such an open way, I'm ready to give back. And so we kind of just bounce off of each other's energies like that, and we have such great sessions. Yeah, it's so good. And the other thing I wanted to add was I did mention this program to some of my friends, and they go onto Instagram and they get like overwhelmed sometimes with all the dick and pussy language because maybe they're not used to hearing it so much. But I would urge anyone who's resisting to please push through because the meat and the juiciness and everything about your work is in the salons. So don't get overwhelmed with Instagram too much. If that happens, if you're one of them, it's all in the work and it's everything everything.
What the elixir experience was like for you.
So when I started taking them, I immediately also started the meditations that come with it. And I noticed my throat was getting very dry and itchy at first. And then I realized it was something that needed to be done. So I went to get my blowjobs. And that kind of eased the dry itchiness that I was feeling. And then I would feel a thick kind of mucousy something there every time I did a blowjob. And then I would continue the elixirs and then it went away. The other thing I noticed was I didn't mention this, that was after my lower back opened out and like burst with my gym, the second layer was up through my sternum and my midsection. I have a twisted spine through my center. It untwisted. No doctor in my whole life has given this to me. No doctor. I have gone to so many doctors. I still go to one chiropractor who I've been going to for 4 years, has not untwisted my spine. Like, I don't know what's in these elixirs, Kim. Absolute magic. My spine has completely untwisted, a twist that I've had since I was 12. I had a big accident or something when I was 12. Nothing could untwist this twist. And everything is changing. The way I hold myself has changed. My voice has changed. The way I show up has changed. I'm manifesting or bringing things to life that I couldn't do. It was just always stuck in a twist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
I don't know if it's for this time, but I did say that I had a miscarriage in pregnancy and did your sexy mama salon, and that's been a whole other journey for me in terms of speaking to my baby, why I miscarried. I was going to run to doctors and midwives and how I pull myself back from it because I'm like, no, I am resourced. I have all the tools. I keep listening to the videos, what I need to do, and how I have chosen now not to see any doctor, not to go anywhere. They recommended a DNC, you got to do an ultrasound to check if there's any residue left. I'm just like, no, I've been yoni steaming for 30 days straight since my miscarriage. I'm waiting on my first period since because it happened recently. And while I do have doubts creeping up every now and then, I just put it to rest by doing a yoni massage or an egg practice, or I bring out my crystal dildo. Um, that has been a whole other transformation. My lessons, the journey through what my baby had to tell me, where I was unhealthy and what needed to change. And only if I did change it will this baby happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. We've been wanting a third child. And I've been doing all the things, taking all the supplements, changing up my lifestyle, sleeping more, exercising more, and it's working. All of it is working, and I haven't outsourced. That's what I'm trying to get at. I did not outsource. This baby's like, it's here. It's your vagina, it's your uterus. I did not work in your uterus. You have to find what's not working and why I couldn't stay. And it was like this massive eye-opening moment for me. And I was like, I have to pull my shit together. Otherwise, this is not going to happen. And
That's
so,
amazing. I think we ought to do another episode and talk more deeply about that because, a lot of people experience miscarriage, and to come out of it with an empowered viewpoint and to really take it as a stepping stone is unusual and such a great thing. I think would be inspiring for a lot of people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. You've had a lot of great stories to share and to inspire others. So it's been a pleasure to have you here, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Kim. Looking forward to being back.
Vaginal Kung Fu is open for registration now, and it closes January the 31st at midnight PST. In the salon, you will become a maestro of all things vaginal and sexual. You will learn my step-by-step guided vaginal weightlifting routine with the jade yoni egg, yoni massage to de-numb and activate your vagina, quantum techniques to clear your blocks and illuminate your sexual shadow, way better than psychedelics, breast massage techniques to tone, lift, and enlarge the breasts, natural birth control and detoxing off the pill, how to make menstruation and menopause the energizing and rejuvenating portals they were meant to be. They were meant to be blissful, not painful. how to give a vaginal hand job, and how to use your sexual energy to heal yourself, including my sex position prescription mood guide. To sign up, go to kimanami.com, look for Sexual Savant Salons, and then click on Vaginal Kung Fu. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and send somebody else the gift of a multi-orgasmic and transformational love life by sharing this episode with them. If you'd like to go deeper into all things orgasms, sign up for my free Orgasmopedia series, where you'll learn about 9 different types of orgasms everyone can have. Go to kimanami.com and you'll see the sign up there. Come one, come all.